Right then, as it's the end of the season, it's time to put Frankie under a little bit of pressure. We've got all the players here of West Ham United's first team currently, including those out on loan. And Frankie is going to have to say whether he'd keep them or sell them. Now, there is a category for depends. So, Frankie, keep is obvious. And I've got players in here whose contracts are expiring and the club have said they're leaving, like Creswell. But this is about what you want, not what Potter wants. So, if you would give a player contract, put them in the keep category. Likewise, Ferguson, Solar, if you want to buy them, put them in the keep category. Then we've got the sell one, which is obvious, but also those players that you would release, pop them into sell as well. And then the ones that I put, it depends. That's just in case there's a player you're unsure of. He's not in the sell, he's not in the keep. It depends on something. You can apply the context. Understand?
Totally understand. I guess there's another caveat to that a little bit, which is this with saying that Potter's going to be in charge of them next season as well?
Yes, this is with what you would like to do with the current squad with Graham Potter as manager going into next season. So going into summer transfer window, what would you do? And let me just get over to the tier list. And we're going to kick off with Konstantinos Mavropanos.
Mavropanos. Oh, has his moments, doesn't he? But I just feel like we need a bit of a reshuffling in that defence. And because of that, he's going to be sold.
You're going to sell him. Selling Mavropanos, what price would you take for him roughly? What's the figure that comes to your head?
You'll get much. 10 sprung to mind. Yeah. I don't think you'll get too much more than that. So.
Well, from one centre back to another one, this one that's out on loan at the minute, and that's Near Gerd.
I would love to see him work out. There's a reason why everybody is sniffing around him and quite interested in his services. So I would love to see him come back and work out under Potter. He hasn't really had any involvement with Potter so far. So let's keep him and see if that can come good.
What about Michail Antonio?
Sell.
So no new contract with Michail Antonio. Then we've got the nice easy one for you of Jared Bowen.
Yeah, there needs to be a forever in there, mate, because he's just got to be here for the rest of his career, isn't he? So
now we're coming on to the youngsters, Frankie. I've got the youngsters in here as well. Some who are featured in first team, some who have been out on loan, some who have done neither. It's keep or sell. If you want to loan them out, we'll do a video in the summer about the young players, right? So this is what the intention is in terms of buying or selling. Okay, so if you're thinking I'm going to loan them out, just put them in the keep category for now, because ultimately he would still be a West Ham United player, and that leads us on to Caelan Casey.
Yeah, easy keep.
Pop him up there. Maxwell Cornet.
Oh, can't believe he's in there. Yeah, it's got to be sell. Just need to get as quickly as possible.
Somerville.
Somerville's definite keep. We need to see what he was showing us before his injury. So fingers crossed we can see a lot more of him next season.
See, I usually hate the phrase like a new signing. I hate it. But actually, under Potter, Somerville is like a new signing. We've had him for 45 minutes under Graham Potter, and that was arguably when we looked at our best under Graham Potter. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing Somerville back as well.
Playing in a very different position as well. So it'd be interesting to see what he does with him when he comes back.
Yeah. Sufal.
Sell, time's up. Thank you very much. Got loads of value out of what we paid for you, but enough's enough.
What about Aaron Creswell?
Same for me, sell. And I know I said keep last season. He's had that extra season. Now it's time to move on.
Ollie Scarles?
Yeah, keep for me. Needs to be given another crack at it, another run.
And Lucas Fabianski?
Yeah, sell. It's just you have to move on in football and things just get a bit stout. He had a nice end, good last game of the season. Are you going to see that consistently next season coming off the bench? I think we need to. This is the point. You either keep him around or you start to potentially find what could be your next long-term goalkeeper. And I'd much rather that. And
I think I know your answer, but next up is Evan Ferguson.
Yes, this is another easy one. So it never worked out, did it? And was never going to work out. It was a ridiculous decision, really.
I will confess, these are in alphabetical order, bar the two youngsters at the very start, but like Scarles, for example, isn't. But everyone's in alphabetical order. But what I did, I pinched a few players. I thought, I don't know what Frankie's going to say for these players, and I put them at the end, right? But so I think we've come up to our first. I haven't moved Max Kilman, but I think it's our first. I don't know what Frankie's going to say thing coming up here. So, what are you doing, Max Kilman?
I really don't want to do the old sit on the fence thing. I want to try and be as black and white as possible with this. But there is something in there that, look, if somebody offered what we paid for him tomorrow, I would potentially twist and maybe find another option. However, you can't change everything. And while I think the defence needs a bit of a refresh next season, there's one player I think has to be involved in it next season. So I am going to go with a keep.
You're going to pop him in the keep category, right? Okay. So you were going to go for the depends there. Right. League One, where's Fodringham?
If you want a third choice goalkeeper, you've got someone who's happy to just sit there and be that man. Good luck to him. So yeah, I'm happy to keep him hanging around.
Right then. I don't know what you're going to say for this one, and that's Niclas Füllkrug.
It's a definite sell for me. I didn't want him in the first place, as you know. I know he's shown. The reason why I think people are so fond of him is because we don't get a look in a West Ham shirt at a striker. The fact that he has the attributes of an actual striker means that he looks far better than anyone else we've got. However, he was never going to make it in the Premier League. He's not a Premier League striker for me. We had our little bet, and I just didn't believe he was going to score enough. He's only just about made double figures in the Bundesliga. Harry Kane goes over there and smashes goals in, for fun. So I always had my reservations. I've not seen enough. While he's better than I thought he would be, I haven't seen enough for him to say that he's the person that I want to put even as a backup striker, still don't cut it for me. And actually, I think his attitude doesn't play well by being a backup striker. I'm not sure he's a man who's happy. He's coming towards the end of his career. He wants to play football. He wants to be the main man. Yeah. I don't want him to be our main man. If I felt like he had the mentality of, I'm happy to be patient, I'm happy to come on and take my chances when they arrive, then I would be a little bit more inclined to say, maybe we keep him around. But because he wants to play first team football and he's not who I want being our first team striker next season, then it's a sell.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, actually. While I perhaps wouldn't put him in that category, I agree with your reasonings, especially a bit about him being unhappy to be sort of the backup striker. We're recording this on Thursday. It matters for the context of what we say here. And I read an article earlier saying that Potter sees Füllkrug as a backup option. And I think that's dangerous. I think that's an unwise thing to do, because I do agree with you, which is he's going to want to play. And if you're not going to play him a lot and often, if he's not your main man, I think you're better off selling him. And as you know, over all people, I'm a Füllkrug fan, but I do think relegating someone like that to a squad option it's a dangerous game to play.
Well, we've got something in that, Gio, as well.
Go on.
And it does add to this that there's a absolute massive international football tournament next year that everyone is going to want to be part of. And there is no way that a player like him is going to want to miss out on that by sitting on the bench for a full season and not getting that opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. Right then, another youngster, we've got Lewis Orford.
Yeah, easy keep for me. Very, very easy keep.
Guilherme?
Oh, I'd love to see more from him. I don't think there's any reason to sell him right now. I don't think anyone's going to come and make you the offer that justifies selling him, because he hasn't done enough and his stock isn't high enough to justify someone coming in and paying good money for him. So because of that, I think we've got to try and, just get him up to speed and maybe playing a bit more first team football next season.
Well, at the minute, you've got one person more in keep than you do sell, but it's very split. And I'm looking at the players we've got coming up, and there's definitely a few more cells in here that I know you're going to say, and I think the next one is that player, and that's Danny Ings.
Yeah, just got to go. Another one just was never going to work out, was never going to end well, was a non-starter. But I do respect the fact that what we said a minute ago, that someone who remained professional and always come on and give everything that he could when we called upon him. So thank you for that. Thank you for, I don't know, just being professional in a really awkward, a bit of a shame for the end of his career, to be perfectly honest. And it's almost like it's gone too far for him to get a nice ending to his career now. We've kind of taken that last hurrah away from him, which is a bit of a shame. So, but yeah, it's just time to sell.
I think he'll be all right in the Championship next season, whether he goes back to Southampton or a club like Wrexham look at him as sort of like a big name that they can get in to try and fire them the goals. I think he'll score next season as long as he steps down a division. Someone that looks like he might be off, but I don't care about what he's saying at the minute. I'm caring about what you're thinking, Frankie, and that's Emerson.
Yeah, again, I just feel like the time's moved on from him. I've really enjoyed having him as a left back. Like I said, I think he was pivotal to our European win. And yeah, I think without him, I'm not sure you go and get that trophy. So really, really happy with what he's brought to West Ham. But again, somebody this season who just looked like he's checked out as well. There were times where I just looked at him and just thought, you really don't want to be here. So if that's what you've got and his mind is that he wants, again, a final change to end his career with, then yeah, off he goes.
Right, we're just over halfway through. We want you guys to get involved as well in the comments below. Just write down keep or sell, and you can have Frankie's denying the depends category. He's ignoring it at the minute, but you guys can have the depends category if you wish. But every single player that we're speaking about, pop them in below, and we'll be taking a look at all your comments just to see what everyone's thinking. I'd imagine most people will agree on a lot of players, but I think there's a few players that will split opinions. We've already had Max Kilman. I think Füllkrug will as well. And I think maybe the next two will for different reasons, Frankie. And that leads us on to Andy Irving.
I didn't really buy into the story, Gio. I didn't go into this. What did they call him? What was the nickname for him?
Iron Brew Iniesta.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. Just not cut out to be a Premier League footballer. And for that reason, he can go.
So what are you calling him then? Like an Iron Brew Vlasic?
That's probably much more fitting. An Iron Brew Vladimir Laban. That's probably what he's more like.
That's a good one. Right, we'll pop him in the bottom category for you. Mohammed Kudus.
Easy keep for me. He can be the superstar, that he can be the Payet, he can be the absolute magician that makes things happen from nothing. We've got to find the best of him. I would love Potter to find the best of him. My issue with Kudus and that people who say, oh, he can go, and I get all the reasons for it. And this is probably the one that most justifies the depends. That if you can get the right money for him now to reinvest, it makes sense. However, I'm going to cling on to the fact that I think we will find it very, very hard to purchase another player with his potential and with his ability in this window. I don't think we do it. I don't think anybody we sign that comes in this next window will have the potential, ceiling, and the current ability level of Mohammed Kudus. So for that reason, I'm going to keep him.
I agree with all of that, but I do think there's another part to it. I agree that we won't find someone with the potential or perhaps the individual ability, but I think we could potentially find someone that fits what we're doing better than Mohammed Kudus, if that makes sense. So will the player be better than Kudus? No. Will he go on and become world class, which I think Kudus could? Probably not. But actually, would we get maybe more goals and assists out of him because he fits the way that Potter wants to play more? Possibly. And that's where I am with Mohammed Kudus anyway. Right, let's go back to our tier list. You've you've now got more players in the leave category, and I don't think that's going to be cheap. Well, it might actually. You're not going to be far off 50-50 by the end of it, but you've got some big calls coming up. But I think there's an easy one, first of all, which is Callum Marshall.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the easiest ones, keep.
Right, we've got Lucas Paquetá. I think what we do here, for the sake of the argument and debate, I think it's best that we pretend he's been found not guilty. Right, we pretend there is no betting allegation going on. He's been found not guilty. He's available to play next season. Are you keeping Lucas Paquetá, or are you going to cash in on Lucas Paquetá?
It's going to be my first depends. I think we really need to understand where his head is. This, for me, is the player that, in my opinion, is like what you just expressed with Kudus. That with Paquetá, I just look at him and just think, when you're on it, and you can be great. But could I pick other players that would give us more consistently throughout the season? It's a yes from me. With Kudus, I get what you were saying there, and you could get a player who may get more goals and more assists. But why can't we, as West Ham fans, have a luxury player, a player that can entertain, get us off there, and just make things happen? Yes, we need to rewind, and we need to go back to when he was going past 5 players in the Europa League and scoring goals and having that bit of excitement around him again. I mean, I was predicting with Kudus every week with you that he's got to score because it's due. It never quite happened, but it got a little bit similar with Paquetá, but there's a lot of reasoning for that. I think when we saw him get that yellow card and break down in tears against Tottenham, that showed just how much it was affecting him mentally. We didn't see that. You don't see that. You don't see how they're being affected. Really, we just see these players who run out on the football pitch, and we expect them always to be able to play to their best of the ability. And unfortunately, life isn't like that. There's a lot more things that come into play. So if he's happy, and he's truly happy, and this whole cloud is lifted, and we can get a more consistent Paquetá who is at it and making things happen for us week in, week out, then I'm absolutely all for it. If he wants a fresh start, if I'm honest, I kind of get it. I kind of get it. And if that's where his head is, then, he has to go the other way.
A sensible answer, I think, Frankie. What about Guido Rodriguez?
Yeah, so again, it was another non-starter. We watched him in that Wolves friendly at the beginning of the season, pre-season in America, and he looked way off it in terms of just keeping up with the pace of the game. And that's transitioned into the season. So, yeah, he can go.
Finished the season with more assists than Lucas Paquetá.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Carlos Soler, would you buy him or send him back?
I'm not sure he works with Potter. I'm not sure he works with Potter at all. However, if it's me, I'd keep him. I think there's something about him. I like his technical ability. I really do think he's got something that we can work with. But my concern is Potter going to play him, and is Potter going to use him in the right way?
So which category would you like to place?
I'll go into depends. If he's really not in Potter's plans and he isn't going to be seeing any minutes and he's just going to be used as a spare part, then there's no point in signing him. But if Potter thinks like he can fit him into his plans, then it makes sense. So it depends for me.
I think we've got an easy one for you. Hammer of the Year, Adam Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, absolute easy keep. We've got a bargain there.
I'm not so sure you would describe the next player as a bargain, and that's James Ward-Prowse.
Far from it. He become quite, I don't know, involved in the end of the season, didn't he? All of a sudden,
I think he's been involved the entire time Potter's been here, really.
Yeah, no, he has. Potter likes him. Seems to be one of the first teams on the team sheet when he's sort of towards the end of the season. So Potter clearly likes him. Potter's clearly got a use for him. Look, I don't mind him as a squad player. Do I feel like we can improve him? Massively. There's another player coming up who I think they're quite similar in terms of where they are on the keep or sell list, but there's one that I think can add a bit more value than the other. However, just for squad purposes, and otherwise I'm going to go into the season with like a starting 11 and no others, so I better stick him in the keep category.
So you're putting James Ward-Prowse in keep now. I did not expect that from you, Frankie. I'll be honest. I think I know where you're going to put the next two, but for the sake of those listening, Freddie Potts.
Freddie Potts, easy keep. We've got to see some of what he's been producing on loan. He can start adding that into us off the bench, please.
And George Earthy?
Same with George Earthy. Want to see him playing Premier League football and being in and around Premier League football. There's a lot to be said for getting constant minutes when you're, out on loan. However, at some point, you've got to start giving them a bit of a crack at Premier League football. And those two, I think, have shown that they're probably ready to be given that chance.
And then we've got the player who's almost sadly become the forgotten man at West Ham, although he still technically is a West Ham United player today, and that's Kurt Zouma.
Similar to Emerson, he was in that same category for me. Experienced, pivotal to our trophy win. Thank you very much, but goodbye.
Yeah, what's interesting is that obviously Zuma's contract is coming to an end this season. And what's interesting is West Ham actually have a 1-year option on his contract. So if Graham Potter, who obviously hasn't had Kurt Zouma, thinks actually, I fancy working with him for a year, we can actually trigger the clause in his contract and he will have another year additionally on his contract. Now, the talk, and it's strong talk, is that we're not going to do that and he's expected just to stay in Saudi. But the option is there for Graham Potter if he wishes to have Zouma here next season. Now we're getting into the 4 players that I've kept to the end on purpose. Alphonse Areola.
Well, there's no alternative. So he has to be kept. And if we did sign another keeper, would there be enough time for him to move on? I mean, he played second fiddle to Fabianski for plenty of time, so I'm not sure it bothers him. He was another one. I wasn't sure he actually wanted to be at West Ham parts of last season. Didn't look to be happy, changing his haircut every 5 minutes to try and give himself a new lease of life. Not sure what all that was about, but whatever works for him. We'll just keep him for now until there's another option, I suppose.
Well, this player didn't change his haircut, and that's Edson Alvarez.
Oh, Edson, ole. So much to be fond of. But is his head in the right place again? This is going to be another depends for me. If he wants to play for West Ham, it's an easy keep because I think he gives us something different. And I think he's a really, really good player. But he's got to want to be happy because, he just showed... Again, and also being missing with Potter, is that repairable? I mean, it just seemed like there was something. We don't know. Nothing really officially came out that there'd been any fallouts there, but he does seem that he can fall out with anyone at any time. You don't need bad apples around. If that's what he is, and I can't really comment on that because I will never, even if there were rumours, I don't like making decisions based on rumours.
I get what you're saying.
So, footballing ability, keep. Is he in the right mindset? Don't know. So we'll go with depends.
Tomas Soucek.
Keep. Very, very easy. That was similar to the Ward-Prowse situation. He is a utility player. He's a useful player. He's still banging in goals left, right and centre. We know what his limitations are. But also, while he may not be considered by some out-and-out West Ham, I almost put him as much out-and-out West Ham and with as much love for the club as Aaron Cresswell. I think he gets hardly done by quite regularly when actually I think he's given everything for West Ham United. I think he's proven time and time again that he absolutely loves West Ham United. And normally that's enough for us to at least respect the player. And I think some of the disrespect that he's come in for is completely unfair. And if you was to look at all those players on that board there, other than Aaron Cresswell, and say which one there would you want someone to show around West Ham on their first new day at the club with any of our new signings, the person that I put in round, asked to put their arm around him is Tomas Soucek.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. To be honest with you, the two names that came in my head was Soucek and Fabianski. Obviously one of them's
Yeah.
One of them's off ski as well. That leaves one player then, and it's just because it's topical today. Like I said, we're recording this on Thursday, and it's come out today that West Ham are open to selling today, but making him available for sale, whatever term you want to cling to. So what would you do with him, though, Frankie?
Oh, I'm a bit gutted. I've got to be honest. I really, really fancied him to come in and be everything we needed from a centre half. Someone who can actually play football. Someone who is a bit more athletic. Someone with a bit of pace.
This was your Danny Ings.
Yeah, it's very set. And actually, I thought in a back three under Potter, I thought he's perfect. The sort of player who probably needs a Mavropanos or someone with a bit more stature and a bit of a ball winner from the air next to him. But if you want someone to come and drive out of the defence and, you know, try and maybe beat their first line and get the ball out wide, he was just the perfect fit. I'm gutted that he hasn't worked out as I thought he would. But again, does this scream of someone, and I watched your video on him earlier on actually, and does it scream of someone who never really wanted to come in the first place? And so we all say, don't we, go and break the bank, go and make it happen if he's your main target. Ultimately, if the person don't want to come, you can force them as much as you like, but it doesn't mean they're going to come here and be happy and want to play their football, and you get the best out of them. So I'm not sure he wants to be here. He's a continental style defender. You put him abroad somewhere, I actually think the Italian league would have suited him down to the ground. If he had gone to Juve, he would probably be there as one of the best defenders in the league right now. Does he suit the Premier League as much? Probably not. Had I hoped that I felt like he could get up to speed and do it in the Premier League, I really, really believe that he could. But yeah, this is going to be the answer for me. If it wasn't we had to sign him, obligation to sign, and it was an option to sign, I would be putting him in that sell category. So it's only because we literally have no choice that I'm going to put him in the keep for now. But if I think West Ham are doing the right thing, and if they can get the right number for him, then I wouldn't be too disappointed if he went out the door.
Well, there you go, Frankie. Your tier list is complete. I'm going to do my best just to reiterate what Frankie's done while squinting at all the players. In the keep category, Frankie has got Nathan Gerd as well as Jared Bowen and Casey. Somerville's in there with Ollie Skiles and Max Kilman. Wes Foderingham is next to Lewis Orford, who has Guilherme at the other side of him. Mohammed Kudus is in the keep category, despite West Ham trying to sell him. Marshall is in there with Wan-Bissaka. James Ward-Prowse has a future at West Ham under Frankie's gaffer. Freddie Potts is there alongside George Earthy. Areola is remaining number one, or possibly number two next season. And Tomas Soucek and Todibo both remain. In the depends category, he's only got 3 players. He's got Lucas Paquetá, Carlos Sora, and Edson Alvarez. But the players Frankie would like to see depart West Ham United this summer, and there's quite a few of them. We've got Konstantinos Mavropanos. There's no new deal for Michail Antonio. Frankie would like to cash in the 50 pence on Maxwell Cornet. No new deals for Sufal, Creswell, or Fabianski. Evan Ferguson goes back to Brighton. Füllkrug is going to get cashed in and go back to the Bundesliga. Danny Ings is off to the Championship. Emerson's going somewhere, but we don't know where yet. Andy Irving, it was a nice story for some, but not for Frankie. You're off. We've got Guido Rodriguez, as well as who was our club captain, Kurt Zouma. Frankie, you happy? Any last minute changes, or you?
Was unsure until your summary, and now I think I'm absolutely happy with that. There's none of it I would change on reflection. I think that's exactly what I'd like to see.
Well, 2 big thank yous. Thank you to Frankie, and thank you to you guys for tuning in and sticking through to the end. Don't be shy. Get involved in the comments. It's just a bit of fun. It's your opinion. The right answer is your honest answer. Capiche? It doesn't matter what other people think about what you think. Get involved in the comments. But thank you. Frankie, thank you again. If you guys have enjoyed this video at home, please do drop a like on it by clicking the thumbs up. Scouting, you to have a chat with myself and Frankie. Catch you in a bit.